What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 fantasy football running backs that are being drafted as running back 3s, who I think have the upside to be RB1s this year. I did a very similar video yesterday at the wide receiver position, so check that one out after this if you haven't already seen it. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe, let me know your thoughts down below. But let's just dive right into the first running back here. According to consensus ADP, DeAndre Swift is being drafted as the running back 25. And I certainly didn't think I would be in on DeAndre Swift after how last year went. He had a rough year, rough overall performance from this Bears offense. With the addition of Ben Johnson, it seemed very, very likely that DeAndre Swift was going to get some legit competition, if not just get outright replaced as the starting running back. But I really feel like this offseason could not have gone better for Swift. First off, the Bears go out, they hire a top offensive mind in Ben Johnson. DeAndre Swift has pretty much avoided all competition. Like, the biggest threat the Bears added this offseason was a round 7 Kyle Monangai. And, it seemed like they maybe wanted to go running back a few different times in the draft, maybe got sniped on a few players, but they still had the opportunity to sign a J.K. Dobbins, a Nick Chubb, someone like that, and they opted not to. And DeAndre Swift's career overall has kind of felt underwhelming, but from a fantasy perspective, he's been very productive pretty much every year. He's been a top 24 running back in points per game in all 5 seasons. He has peaked as the running back 8 in points per game, and his multiple seasons as like a high-end running back 2 at the RB15. We did see DeAndre Swift's most efficient season come with Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator. That was back in 2022. He has showcased the upside to be a top 5 running back in receiving production. And I don't think DeAndre Swift's going to come in here and be a workhorse. That's never really been his game. I don't think he's going to be super involved near the goal line. But we've seen guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Etienne, Alvin Kamara, these guys who can deliver those RB1 seasons through receiving usage, efficiency, and touchdowns. And I think you're kind of hoping for like the Jahmyr Gibbs-esque usage, right? Where he's going to be involved as a pass catcher. You're hoping he gets some big play upside. And I'm not comparing DeAndre Swift to those other guys, right? I think, Gibbs, Etienne, Kamara, all in different tiers, but all definitely more talented than a guy like DeAndre Swift. But it's the blueprint, right? And on this offense that I do think is going to take a leap, I believe in the coaching staff. And there's just really no one else. Like, you have Roschon Johnson as the RB2 on the depth chart. Like, he might be that early down guy, maybe working in near the goal line. And then Kyle Monangai, round 7 Kyle Monangai is the current RB3 on the depth chart. So I think the usage is going to be fine. And I think he has the skill set where he could deliver like a back-end RB1 season in this Ben Johnson-led offense. Then the next running back we have here is Aaron Jones. He was the running back 20 in points per game last year at 14.2 points per game. He is currently being drafted as the running back 26. And overall, he had a pretty solid 2024 season, 18.6 opportunities per game, solid usage, 15 carries, 3.6 targets a game, 69% opportunity share. That was 14th at the running back position. Really, the one area where he just didn't come through was in the touchdown department. Only scored 7 touchdowns, which was 24th at the running back position. 2024 was a very big year for running backs, and scoring overall was up. There were minimal injuries. The running back 12 in points per game was all the way up at 16.5. In previous years, that cutoff to be a running back 1 has been lower. The 4 previous seasons, it was 15.6, 14.1, 15.1, and then 15.4. A few more touchdowns out of Aaron Jones from last year, and he's a top 12 running back in an average running back season. There does seem to be a lot of concern about the addition of Jordan Mason. He signed a 2-year, $10.5 million contract. I'm just not super sold that Jordan Mason is going to come in and be anything more than the running back 2 kind of change of pace back for Aaron Jones. He had a really nice 6-game run to start the 2024 season, but that's pretty much all we've seen out of him out of 3 years in the NFL. I know people are very concerned about, the goal line role, him taking the touchdown upside from Aaron Jones, and I do think he's probably going to work in near the goal line. But this is not a situation where Jordan Mason is an amazing goal line back. Both these guys, Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones, were both very unproductive on the goal line last year. Inside the 5, Aaron Jones had 12 carries for -4 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not good. Jordan Mason, he is the bigger running back, 7 carries for -1 yards and 1 touchdown. And so, yeah, maybe just based on his size, he gets those opportunities, but it's also possible he's just as ineffective as Aaron Jones was last year, and maybe those touches are a little bit more evenly distributed. Aaron Jones is kind of getting up there in age, 30 years old. He has very consistently been an efficient option year after year. He has hit some, decent touchdown seasons, 3 double-digit touchdown seasons throughout his career, and he is one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. And so I do think, maybe this offense relies a little bit more on the running back position with J.J. McCarthy pretty much, having his rookie year here. So they rely on the running backs, get him involved in the pass game. I still think Aaron Jones can have fine usage, and then you just get a little lucky in the touchdown department. I do think he could make one last push to be like a back-end RB1. Then I think potentially the player I'm most confident in, or I think has the most upside this season, is going to be Isiah Pacheco, being drafted as the running back 29, and I'm really starting to come around on Pacheco here as a really strong fantasy pick. The broken fibula he suffered towards the end of that week 2 game really just nuked his entire 2024 season. In those first 2 weeks, he was averaging 16 PPR points per game, was averaging 21 opportunities per game. In his 5 regular season games after the injury, 5 points per game, 11.4 opportunities, and then he was pretty much a non-factor in the playoffs. He had essentially lost his job to Kareem Hunt, and we had seen Pacheco really kind of break out before that. Towards the end of 2023, he was averaging 22.3 points per game in the last 4 games. Then in the playoffs, he went for at least 80 scrimmage yards in all 4 of their games. You look at this running back room, it's pretty wide open. They did bring back Kareem Hunt, but he's 30 years old. He's really nothing special. They were just throwing him out there. It's not like he was doing anything amazing. He just wasn't making any huge mistakes, but they just had no big play upside out of the running back position. They did bring in Elijah Mitchell, but he's pretty much been a non-factor since his rookie season and has really struggled to stay healthy. And then I actually do like their day 3 running back pick in Brashard Smith, but Brashard Smith isn't really going to be taken from the same bucket as Isiah Pacheco. He's more of that receiving back option, like a Jerick McKinnon type role, which is not really what, you expect Isiah Pacheco to do in this offseason. And so it is possible that Pacheco's just kind of zapped athletically and he's never really going to be able to pull away. But if this is the same Pacheco we saw towards the end of 2023, or the guy that started the season as the clear-cut Chiefs running back 1, I do think he's going to pull away from the competition in this backfield, and he could end up being a 70+% opportunity share guy on one of the best offenses in the NFL. And to pay a mid-tier RB3 price tag, I do think that's worth it for that potential ceiling. And then actually the last 2 running backs I talk about here are going to be from the same backfield. It is Travis Etienne going off the board as the running back 35, and then Bhayshul Tuten going off the board as the running back 42. And I do just think someone in this Jaguars backfield is going to be a league winner. Now, it's very crowded. You have Travis Etienne, Bhayshul Tuten, and Tank Bigsby. I know some people are going to be in on Tank. Did have a pretty solid season last year. I'm just not really seeing the upside. I think if Bigsby's a factor, he's more of a nuisance to these other 2 than someone who I think is super fun for fantasy. And maybe he's an early down grinder, hitting in the touchdown department, and is a high-end RB3, but I think an Etienne, a Tuten with their skill sets, their receiving upside, these are guys who could be potential league winners for you, and I just don't really see that being the case for Tank Bigsby. Now, starting off by looking at Travis Etienne, he's had kind of an interesting career arc here. So he misses his entire rookie season in 2021. He comes back in 2022 and has a very solid season, super efficient in kind of a limited RB1 role where he had a 60% opportunity share but wasn't pulling away from the field. Averaged 5.1 yards per carry, caught 35 passes for 316 receiving yards. Then in 2023, we saw him get great usage. He had the 6th highest opportunity share. He was the running back 7 in points per game, but his efficiency kind of suffered all the way down to 3.8 yards per carry. Still very good receiving production, top 6 in both receptions and receiving yards, while also being top 6 in total touchdowns. And then in 2024, you're kind of hoping for the ceiling outcome where he maintains his usage and the efficiency returns. And instead, he just tanks across the board. RB37, 8.7 points per game, 3.7 yards per carry. The receiving production even dipped. He was 21st in yards per out run, 26th in yards per reception. And so you can see the upside, right? Like he's been a mid-tier fantasy RB1. He has strong pedigree. He was a former round one pick. He has a strong receiving profile. You're kind of just hoping he's healthy and looks like a more explosive version than what we saw in 2024. But then you can also see the upside for Bhayshul Tuten, who is an early round 4 pick in this year's draft. He's a really fun prospect. He's an elite athlete, had a 9.24 relative athletic score, ran a 4.32 40, killed both the broad and vertical jump. He's a little bit undersized at 5'9", 206, but he has a ton of big play upside. 47% of his career rushing yards came on 15-plus yard carries. He's very effective after contact, despite being, kind of a smaller framed running back. And then he has some receiving upside. He caught 23 passes in each of his last 3 college seasons. You also just look at the overall environment of this offense. I'm a big fan of their new head coach, Liam Cohen. We saw him completely transform the Buccaneers' run game. This was a Buccaneers offense that was dead last in yards per carry in both 2022 and 2023. Like if Cohen came in and made them like a league average unit, I think that would be a huge win. He turned them from the worst run game in the league to having the 3rd best yards per carry in literally just a year, dead last to 3rd highest yards per carry. And he was the only team in the top 5 that didn't have like an extremely mobile Russian quarterback. You had the Ravens with Lamar, you had the Cardinals with Kyler, you had the Commanders with Jaden Daniels, and then you had the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. And then Baker can certainly, handle his own on the ground, but you wouldn't compare his rushing upside to those other 4 quarterbacks. So it really was a miraculous turnaround. And then he also turns a day 3 rookie in Bucky Irving into a fantasy league winner. So you connect that to Bhayshul Tuten, right? You got like a fun, explosive day 3 rookie pick, and you're like, you saw what he did with Bucky. If he, slots Bhayshul Tuten into that role, he could be very exciting. Also, getting these running backs involved in the receiving game, both Rachaad White and Bucky Irving were capable receivers and involved there. As of right now, the reports look like Travis Etienne is leading the backfield, but as we know, these rookies tend to kind of gain momentum throughout the season and can kind of break out over the second half. I think Travis Etienne probably is the highest odds, like within this backfield, to be a fantasy running back 1 for the entire season, like over the entire, 17 game year, just because if he is going to start off the season as the running back 1, he just kind of has to maintain it. If Bhayshul Tuten's buried to start off the year and then breaks out, he might not get there, from a full season perspective, but he could be a really strong running back 1 down the stretch. And so I'm fine with both of these guys at their current prices, like back end RB1 for Etienne, mid-tier RB4 for Bhayshul Tuten. I'm definitely more in on Tuten at his price tag, but with the receiving upside, Etienne at one point looked like an efficient, explosive back. Bhayshul Tuten, is a very explosive, big play running back. I'm a believer in, the talent of Tuten, was a believer in the talent of Etienne, believer in Liam Cohen coming in here, hoping he can kind of fix this run game. And so I think both these guys are really interesting picks, kind of getting later on at the running back position. But that is going to wrap it up for my top 5. Let me know your thoughts on these players. Do you agree with me that they come with some upside? But thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one.